to hell, which is a scary, horrible place where you're going to burn on fire for eternity.
To all you people out there that think science is evil, well, you better think again, because someday you're going to need that.
Hello and welcome to Reason is Reality.
I'm Jay.
I'm Steve, and today we have a pretty good subject to speak about, how religion has been trying to filter its way into our government, our laws, and pushing their beliefs into our laws. So we hope you enjoy the show.
So, some people state that we live in a Christian nation.
Huh. Well, here's what I'll say. Christians are the biggest religious group in our nation.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still less than 50% of our nation. It's 46%. 46% of our nation are believers of some nature, which is mostly Christian. But of course you have your Jews and your Muslims and all the other little offshoot religions and everything like that. You know, like your Mormons and and the Jehovah's Witnesses and things like that.
Right.
So you have all these other things too going on, religions, and 64% of our nation says that they are either non-religious, non-believers, or just spiritual of some nature. So that means the greater majority of our nation right now, of the United States of America,
mm-hmm.
are non-believers or other, and 46% are consider themselves to be religious or, you know, believers of whatever religion it is that they belong to. And like I say, the greater majority of that 46% are Christian. But they're still less than 50% of the whole nation. So you can't really say we're a Christian nation.
No, I think, well, see, a lot of it, I think they go by, well, the United States was founded on Christianity.
But it wasn't.
I understand.
Yeah.
I know that, but, you know, that's what they think.
Well, if they actually look up their history, and I mean really look up their history, they'll notice that our nation was founded by and formed under Freemasonry. Even the way the positions in our government are. You have your president, and then you know, your vice president, and then under that, you know, there's the other.
And then you have the Speaker of the House.
Well, yeah, but the speakers of the House and all that, that's still like the House and the Senate, which are two other parts.
Right.
So you have the president, and then you have the House of Representatives and the Senate, which are the two under that, and then under each of those are two more, and it keeps splitting off the whole way down. And you know, the third part between the House, the Senate, and the President
mm-hmm.
is the United States Supreme Court, which is specifically there for the main reason of upholding the Constitution of the United States. Well, all these positions, they have the same positions in the Masonic Lodge, but they have different names for those positions. So they kind of use the Masonic Lodges as a model to base our government off of. And mind you that the majority of the people that signed the Declaration of Independence, they were all Freemasons, including George Washington and, on down the line, and Benjamin Franklin, who was never a president, but he was still one of the main people that came up with our Constitution and everything like that, and the Declaration of Independence and all, Freemasons. And you can look that up, and actually, in quite a few Masonic lodges out there, there are pictures and things signed and left by George Washington himself. In Kent, Ohio, in their lodge, they have not only a painting of George Washington, but they have a wash bowl, because back then, of course, they didn't have sinks, but they had a really nice wooden stand that held this marble-looking wash bowl that you would wash your hands and face in, and George Washington had used that. That was his while he was there, and they've kept that ever since. And of course, you're not allowed to use it now.
Right.
The last person that used it was George Washington. So, now also, a lot of those Freemasons that founded this country were not Christian, they were deists. And George Washington is one who, in his own books, claims he is a deist. And a deist is somebody who believes in a creator or a god type figure, but they do not believe that God interferes with anything on earth or with humans or anything to do with that. Deists believe that the creator created everything and wound it up like a clock and just threw it out there and let it do its thing. And doesn't interfere, just watches, sees what happens. So he just lets it kind of wind down and see where it gets. And hopefully it goes somewhere good, some good direction.
Right.
But all those who think that our founding fathers were Christians, not so much. Most of them were deists. Most of them were Freemasons. And Freemasons don't worship the devil or anything like that. Trust me, it's not how it is. I am a Freemason, and pretty much in lodge we don't worship anything or do anything like that. You kind of leave religion and politics outside of the lodge. You don't talk about that in there. You only talk about matters of the lodge and the brethren within. That's
right.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So you keep the religion and you keep the politics out. That stays on the outside. Once you leave the lodge room, you can sit there and talk with your Masonic brethren about anything you want, just not in the lodge.
Right.
So we don't worship the devil. There's no crazy satanic rituals, and I don't know. You have a lot of these Christians saying they're evil, they worship the devil, and blah blah blah.
Oh, that's like saying the same thing with Planned Parenthood.
Right.
Yeah,
because we don't worship anything in there. Thank you. We handle Masonic matters. We handle the positions of the lodge and things that need done, and raising money, and helping the less fortunate, and giving to charity, and doing all kind of other things. I don't think I've ever seen Satan in there. And furthermore, we're giving to charities and everything, trying to help people out. We're not like
trying to sacrifice them.
Yeah, we're not trying to sacrifice them or anything, and we don't run around with horns and crazy little tails on or anything like that. This isn't Fear and Loathing. You don't go walking around with a tail hanging off of you.
Right.
In some hip waders. So yeah, really, it's our nation was not founded on Christianity. Our nation was founded on freedom, and the freedom to do as you want or will, as long as you're not harming others.
Correct. I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. So So, free to believe what you want, free to have whatever, religion you want, free to work doing whatever you want, whether it be, a farmer, an iron worker, steel, whatever,
Yeah.
You have the freedom to pursue happiness for your family, for yourself,
Like everybody, has a blank slate,
Right.
and you can go and do what you need to do in order to establish your own life.
Exactly. So that was the whole principle behind that. It had nothing to do with Christianity or Jesus or anything. That's why there's the separation of church and state in there.
Right.
Because we needed to keep the religious belief out of the system, out of our laws, out of anything else, so that we have a clean and unbiased system that everybody from any religion, any race, creed, color, male or female, can live equally and have the equal opportunity to have a good life, to raise your children, to, buy a house, to be happy, the pursuit of happiness, to have a nice, happy, fruitful life.
Like, that's the American dream.
Exactly. And if you start throwing religion in there and trying to put religious rules and tenets on people, then it's no longer free, because you're being forced into something.
Right.
You're being forced to obey or concede to something that you do not believe in, that has nothing to do with you. So no, we are not a nation based on Christianity. And the whole "in God we trust" thing, that came in the 1950s, and even "one nation under God" was added to the Pledge of Allegiance in the 1950s, in the early 1950s, to show how different we were from communists. That was the whole reason they did that, because communism was on the rise, and they wanted to show how different the United States was and whatnot from them. So they put "in God we trust" and "one nation under God." Those don't belong there.
No,
because
don't.
you can actually look up the original. You can look up the original Pledge of Allegiance, and it's not in there.
No, it's not.
Exactly. So, why change something that was good enough the way it was? Somebody had to sneak that God thing in there.
Yeah, 'cause
it just said "in one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all."
Right, yeah, that's it.
The under God part was added.
Yeah.
So that doesn't belong there. And the "in God we trust" thing doesn't belong there. And they should take that off of our money.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't even carry money.
Yeah, well, me too. And I'll tell you, the thing is, we have so many different types of people here. Not just Jews and Christians and Muslims, but we also have Hindus here. We have New Age religions here. We have Wiccans here. We have all kinds of people with their own beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were them, I would be kind of offensive that the money I was carrying said "in God we trust."
Right.
Why use God? Especially if you're not a Christian or a Judeo-type Christian or anything like that, where it starts with that God and the whole creation story thing, So that should be taken kind of offensive, because that's sort of saying we are not all equal. If you're not one of us with the whole "one nation under God" thing, then you're not equal to us.
Right.
Well, that would make me mad.
Mm-hmm.
So we really need to get rid of that and get back to the way the forefathers originally made it, that there is no religion whatsoever, not even a mention of it in government. That has to stay away. Separation of church and state, and it has to stay that way so that everybody can know that they are all equal, regardless of what you believe, regardless of whether you're male, female, black or white, doesn't matter.
Right.
We all have the equal opportunity to make a good life and pursue happiness.
I think it would cause a little bit of chaos in the Christian community if you did take "in God we trust" off money.
Oh yeah.
Or out of the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh yeah, because they want to They want to go against our Constitution. And yes, you Christians are against the Constitution if you want to keep ramming God in there. So, if they want to stick with the Constitution that our forefathers made for us, and it was perfect the way it was with the separation of church and state, and if you want to keep this country equal for all, then you got to get rid of that. You can believe what you want. You can pray to God every day. I don't care. But, don't be throwing that stuff in my face or anyone else's who doesn't believe in that or doesn't need that or, whatever.
Right. I think a lot of people get the separation of church and state. I think they get a little confused on that, of why we have that in there.
Yeah, it's so the church can't rule things. Literally. It's so that the religious right
can have their rights, but to themselves.
Exactly. Because, this is an equal opportunity country here, regardless of where you're from, who you are, whatnot. And you have to keep it that way. You can't single people out, and you cannot force your beliefs into the system, which they are constantly trying to do. Force their beliefs into the system. Keep your beliefs to yourself. Keep your beliefs to yourself and others like you, where you can gather together and talk about your religion and congregate and whatever you want to do.
Right.
But don't bring that into everyone else's world, everyone else's life here. You need to really keep that separate.
Well, I don't think they're doing such a good job right now.
No, they're not.
We have a lot of politicians that are running for president that are very religious.
Yeah, the evangelicals and all that. Yeah,
and there's a lot of them that I've watched a few of the earlier debates, like the very first couple debates.
Yeah,
and they pretty much, that was all they talked about, is how religious they are and how we need to bring God back into the United States.
No, we can't do that, because we need to let everybody believe their own, and we need to let them keep it where it belongs. There's no room to push any one religion into our country.
Right.
Into our matters of the state. That's just ridiculous. And, not only that, but they do constantly push it. They're constantly trying to put religious rules into law in our country. Mm-hmm. This can't be done. This is not so, because then that breaks down the whole thing of being equal, and it doesn't matter what religion you are, because then you're trying to force Christianity upon the whole nation.
Right. It's just like, anytime we go to vote for a presidential candidate, a lot of times the other side or their opponent always goes against them, saying, oh, well, they don't believe in this, or they believe this way. You know what I mean? Like, they're not within, Christianity, because, the United States was founded on Christianity, which obviously it wasn't, but they go with that to try to, in their way, hurt their opponent.
Right, yeah.
Totally,
yeah. I agree.
I don't think any of that, if you're running for something like that, and there is a separation of church and state, I don't think that religion can even be brought up.
Yeah. Really, the reason they bring it up is because they're trying to get the votes of all those Christian people. They're trying to push their agenda into our government. And they're always like, oh, well, the liberals are trying to push their agenda. Well, the liberals really don't have an agenda. They're just trying to make sure that everyone's equal. Right. Whether you be black, white, lesbian, gay, straight, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're trying to make sure that every person out there, regardless of what you do at home in your bedroom, regardless of what you believe religiously, regardless of whatever, to be able to be yourself and have the same rights as everyone else.
Right. Equality.
Yeah, equality. So really, when they try to push their religion into it, they're trying to make it so there is no equality unless you are a Christian. So that's, like the whole, lesbian and gay marriage thing. Well, okay, maybe because your religion says that God finds that to be an abomination, or that marriage should be between one man and one woman. Well, that doesn't, okay, that might mean that a gay or lesbian couple cannot get married in a church under, the premise of God,
Right.
but that doesn't mean they can't do it legally in a courtroom.
Right.
They should be able to have the same rights to be with somebody, be joined with them, and be happy and get the same tax breaks as a man and a woman being married.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to have anything to do with their Christian God.
Exactly.
Just go to a magistrate, go to a judge, get married in a courtroom. That way you're legally on paper joined, even if it's not joined under their God.
Yeah.
It's none of their business what anyone else does.
Right.
Nowhere does it say in their Bible that they're supposed to stop people from not paying attention to the rules in their Bible. They're not allowed to do that.
No.
No one's allowed to do that unless what you're doing has a law against it. You can't stop them from doing that.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So once again, they try to push their agenda into our laws. Well, as long as they keep doing that, it's going to keep failing. And it seems that as the younger generations keep coming up to be the new leaders, they're kind of pushing that old school Christian agenda right out the fucking door.
Right.
And so they've been trying to do this, and to some degree they've actually gotten away with this. And especially on the state level, state religion, kind of thing.
Right.
The state governments a lot of times do go with, different politicians that wind up in a seat of office who are, wackadoodle religious.
Right.
And do everything they can to push the wants and needs of their religious sect and put it into laws in these states. That's why you go down into the southern states where, the southern states are more religious than the northern states.
Right. Right.
And they're more likely to put evangelicals and preachers and this and that in seats of government office, even if it's on the state level. And they try to push that. And still to this day they do that. And if you're not religious, or if they don't like you, or you don't belong to some Christian church or something, you are the enemy. And they'll try to do everything to stop any and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after all, you had judges sitting at the bench that convicted the West Memphis Three with not a single iota of proof. It was all speculation, and they put them away in prison for over a decade. Was that like 18 years or something they spent in there?
Yeah.
And it turns out they didn't do anything. But yet they tried to convict them on the idea that these kids are Satanists. Well, does religion really matter in the United States? It doesn't matter what religion you are. And first off, they weren't Satanists.
No.
But, that's what they pegged them as.
Right. I think more so it was just the interest in the occult or whatever have you at that time.
Right. Yeah. So the state of Arkansas, convicts people with no solid proof, no evidence, no nothing. Because they saw these three kids as Satanists or occultists or whatever they wanted to call them. So they had the whole state of Christians riled up. And of course the Christians are like, give them the death penalty, put them away forever, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
And now they're set free, and everybody knows that they didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, somebody ought to take all those Christians, those witch hunting Christians, and put them in prison for 20 years.
Right.
Be like, look, you convicted people that were innocent, and you are not getting out.
No.
We'll see how you like it.
You know, I really did.
Fair is fair. You know,
Right.
an eye for an eye. The same
Yeah.
punishment.
That's what's in their book.
That's right. It's in their book. You take those people who wrongly convicted them, and you put them in the most rotten ass prison for 20 years and leave them there.
Yeah.
Say, this is what you get, you know, and realize that you're doing this time for your stupid ass God.
Yeah, and then turn around and say you have to plead guilty, and then we'll let you free.
Yeah, right.
That way you don't come back because we know we were wrong and we don't want you to sue us.
Right, yeah.
That's fucked.
It is. It is. That makes me angry. When they try to force their religion down my throat through their laws, through everything like that. I mean, trying to pass these laws so that everybody, even those who aren't Christian, have to abide by it. I am sorry, but I am going to abide by no God, no Savior, no anybody like that. Too bad. You can preach what you want, but do it in your church. Do it away from me. Believe what you want, but believe it to yourself.
Right.
Don't bring that shit to me.
Right.
Besides, didn't their Savior say, take my word to those who shall have it?
Yep.
Yeah, that means those who don't want to have it, don't bring that near them. Don't speak to them. Just let them go. Let them do their own thing.
Right.
You know, you can think I might burn in hell all you want, but that's none of your business. Okay, everybody, that's all we have for today's episode of Reason is Reality.
I'm Jay.
I'm Steve.
And before we go, don't forget that we have a brand new website, reasonisreality.com. And we also have a store where you can buy cool hats like this. And also you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We also have a Patreon site if you'd like to support us on there. And until next time, see you guys.